So today we're going to be comparing the LG V40 versus the OnePlus 6T, and the OnePlus 6T is a mid-tier phone with a bunch of flagship specs. So let's see if they don't cheap out on the camera. Right now we are recording in 1080p with the front-facing camera. On the back we will be recording in 4K 30 and 4K 60. So this is a quick low-light test of the front-facing camera. So starting off with the front-facing portrait mode, the OnePlus 6T looks a bit more warmer in the skin and it looks more inviting. The highlights on the LG V40 is really washed out, and if you take a look at the tree, the branches are almost gone and there's really no sky at all. It's all white. With the OnePlus 6T, you can still see some blue in the sky. And the LG V40 has this wide selfie mode, so if you like taking pictures with friends, it does help. Now moving on to the portrait mode for the back camera, on the LG V40, it looks like there's a slight green hue on its pictures. It is more contrasty, but the highlights is still pretty strong, whereas the OnePlus 6T is a bit warmer. And also both of these portrait mode does work on objects as well. I think the dynamic range is really close to each other. I can barely tell. The only difference is how they render out the colors. Again, the LG V40 is a bit more greenish tone, while the OnePlus 6T, their sky looks a bit more darker. Like the front, the LG has a wide angle, which the OnePlus does not. It does have a telephoto lens instead, but that's one thing I do like about the LG V40 is the wide angle lens. And I will always favor the wide angle lens over a telephoto because it makes everything looks more epic. Now moving on to low light, and the first thing I noticed is the LG gives a lot more vibrance in its pictures. Now if you look beyond the trees and look at the sky, there's a nice gradient going on, and the buildings, they give a lot more pop. It's more warmer and they stick out more. And even with humans with portrait mode, with the human skin, it looks more warmer and they do stick out a little bit more. The 6T still takes really good pictures, but it's a little bit more flat for my taste. But the OnePlus do correct a lot of the yellowness going on with the street lights. Now going over the night mode with both of these phones, it's not going to be amazing as Google's night sight, but it still gets a little bit brighter pictures. My experience with the OnePlus 6T, it's really hard to get a good sharp picture, especially in really low light situations. It takes a really long time to focus. A lot of times it ends up really blurry, and I would need to take at least 3 photos to make sure the OnePlus 6T night mode comes out really sharp. But when it works, it comes out pretty good. Now moving on to video, I feel like the high dynamic range is a bit better on the OnePlus 6T. The shadows is a bit higher, and at the same time, the sky is still controlled. The V40 does have darker shadows, but I do like their colors. It's more vibrant, and on the buildings, I feel like the LG V40 does pop more, while the OnePlus 6T, it looks a bit more stale to me. On the main lens, the LG V40 does have a wider field of view over the 6T, and both of their stabilization is really good. I would say the 6T does a little bit better job. I see less up and down movement on the OnePlus than the LG V40. And since the LG V40 does have a wide angle, you can use that to shoot video as well. Both of these cameras do offer 4K 60, and it does a really good job. They don't have stabilization, and the LG V40 does have this like greenish blue tint over a lot of its shots, but you don't really realize it unless you're comparing it to something else. For low light, I find that the LG V40 does have a bit more brightness in the shadows over the OnePlus 6T, and both of these clips, they do jitter a lot, but I feel like the OnePlus 6T jitters a little bit more. So that would really ruin your images, and it gives off that really blurry look, which a lot of us don't like. So I feel like the LG V40 has a little bit upper hand because of that. It's the same with the 4K 60, the LG V40 does give off a brighter image. In the buildings, they do pop more again on the V40, and I really feel like the V40 does a really good job pushing the reds and the warmth out, so everything look really vibrant. In my nighttime experience of recording with the LG V40, everything looks like it has really low shutter speed. But on the video clip, it looks normal. It doesn't look as bad on the viewfinder, but that's just something that I've noticed. But when I'm recording with the 6T, the screen looks fine. It doesn't have as bad as a low shutter look. So my low light experience of the camera is much better on the 6T. So that is my comparison between the V40 and the 6T. Let me know which one you have or which one you guys think is better. I think for the price for the 6T, the camera is really good for what you're getting. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.